Well, if the Bayern Munich stint of our original head coach save suggested that the head coach might not be a viable format moving forward, then this episode from the coach's head with Copenhagen may well confirm our worst fears. We rely on a director of football for transfer staffing and contracts, and for the second time in FM24, I'm being left completely perplexed. Yes, hello, and welcome along to part 31 of the Coach's Head with me, Daniel. We are back today with Copenhagen for 2 Europa League games as well as transfer deadline day, and that is going to determine how happy or unhappy I am in a few weeks' time, because yes, we're comfortably clear at the top of the table. We're going to win the title. I'm pretty much certain of that. Yes, we're doing okay in the Cup. Yes, we're doing okay in Europe. But we are now in a more baffling position than ever because, as you knew, at the end of the last month, we were losing our only senior left back because he was out of contract, wouldn't sign a new one. And 22 days into the new window, no sign of any senior additions and only one youth left back that an offer has been made for. So it's not looking good. It's looking a bit worrying. There are 9 days basically for my plan of doing the head coach save next year on Twitch to be saved. Otherwise, I think we have to give it a miss for a while. If you're looking forward to finding out if we do get the saving grace at left back, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. What makes it all the more annoying is this. It is proven in the squad planner. It's literally an elite senior club saying we have no players in this position at senior level. And all of the recruitment and coaching team just ignoring it. It wouldn't happen in real life. And it was my argument with Bayern. If this happens at a National League South club where you're struggling to get targets or you're getting beaten to people, fine. But to not allow there to be a left back at the club with Copenhagen just wouldn't happen. And that's the problem. The rest of the squad is looking okay, so no complaints there. But to confirm the transfer news since you were last here, there is one youth left back potentially coming in on a cheap deal. There have been offers rejected for Tambakti, who wants to leave. Forster has returned from a loan and gone out on another one. If we go to the history and start with the released players, you can see that at the end of last season, in fact, it's not showing there for some reason. Maybe he went to another club. Did he? Yes, he did. He signed a deal elsewhere. My apologies. So the players that have gone out in January, most notably, Robert Lubicic, who was the only senior player who could play left back. He has left the club and gone to Levante, where he'll earn more, get to play regular football, and get to go to a sunnier climate. Can't blame him, really, can you? And also Jakob Pint, who was one of the options on the right-hand side of midfield. Not devastated to lose him, and he's gone to Gladbach, but someone who could have been useful for us. And again, homegrown at the club, which for Europe would have been important. A few other players have gone out. Michael Jorgensen on loan, who has just developed into first team level, so they decided to let him go again. Morten Lausen has gone to Nordsjælland. He's not that great. And then Jakob Forster, who has gone back out on loan again, having returned at the start of January. No signings in as we've seen, so the squad is getting smaller and smaller. Anyone who followed the original head coach save, you've seen this all before. It happened at Bayern Munich in that one, and worryingly, it's starting to happen here as well. There are 9 days to go in the window. The only offer that has been made so far is for this young left back, Corey Fernandez from Arsenal. He is, I think, 1.5 star ability, 2-star potential. Yeah, pretty much that. He's not great. I mean, he might well be our first choice left back in a week, but he's not a great player. And it does leave me incredibly concerned. There's not been any football because it's been a winter break. You were with me for Rangers and the Cup tie. We played a couple of games after that. The second leg, we rotated heavily and drew 2-2. Sven Nielsen and Mad Jakobsen, 2 youngsters, getting the goals. And against Sturm Graz, we lost by 1-0, an own goal from Lund Jensen. But the Europa League is pretty much done for us. We've picked up enough points. Now we've got 2 more games. We can go with our first team. But obviously being a winter break, there's a lot of lacking of match sharpness around. And I couldn't get friendlies in too early because we've then got 2.5 weeks off after these 2 games. So we're just going to go for it and see how we fare. No idea who I'm going to play left back. We'll work that out in a minute. But for now, let's get through to it. Grasshoppers at home. Mehmet Gunal will probably have to come up from the youth team. He is a player that is a 2-star ability centre-half. He can't really tackle. He can't really run. But he'll do the job for now. I mean, it's not ideal, is it? Let's pick our 11. Let's see what we can get out. We'll be back in a minute to run through the team. Well, the one positive at the minute at this club is despite the fact that we've not got any quality out wide, either at first team level or in reserve, we have got lots of good central young players coming through. So the likes of Jakobsen, who is now stepping up at 17, looking very good. We've also got Enghart as a midfielder, Jimmy Jensen as a striker, all progressing really nicely. Marcus and the centre half the same. We've just got to hope that we can get these players on the pitch at some point. The decision we've got to make at right back is between Gendry and Joe May, but I feel like going with the younger option on a day like this when there's not much riding on the match. And aside from that, I've gone for my strongest 11. We're going to build their fitness back up. It's Juve in goal with May and Gunau the fullbacks, very much an emergency one on the left. Jensen and Gallego at centre half. Tiumchu alongside Højlund and Bruno in the midfield three. And then Gonzalo and Luis Suarez, who's just declining a bit more physically after another winter break at 34. Behind Schmidt up front. There are options on the bench for those wide areas. I'm starting to look at maybe a Kasper Lund to come in and offer a bit of pace on one side, or maybe promoting a Churi again, but none of them really great options. So let's just get through to it and see how we go. It's a big ask because not a lot of this team is fit, but hopefully they'll produce a decent display. A reminder as we go into this that the league is loaded for Switzerland, so do not expect an easy match here. They've got a decent side, but we are the favourites. We are playing well this season. And you know what? Apart from the left-hand side, the other 9 of our 11 are very good footballers. We're already through. We'll get the league table up so you can see. We're on 13 points in 13th. The only question with these 2 home games is can we sneak into the top 8? The first 15 minutes don't suggest that much, but hopefully we'll create some chances soon. As it's a goal kick for the visitors, who don't clear it well. Højlund wins a header, but there's no one ahead of him. Can we press them as they try and play out? Will we get caught ourselves? Because Højlund was very advanced there. And here they are with Pastowski, a player you'll recognise from English football. Maybe not the best player in the world, but still decent. It's into midfield. We try and close down, can't quite make it. A lot of gloves on show there from the Copenhagen team. Big ball over the top is diagonal. It's well dealt with by Juve. This is a very long, pointless highlight for a key one so far. But you know that I like to get involved with them. As Gunau at left back, under no pressure. Finds the simple pass to Bruno. That's a lovely first touch. Beats his man on the left-hand side. There's 3 arriving in the middle. Big cross towards Schmidt. Big header over the bar. First good chance of the game. It's gone to Copenhagen. But it's not been taken. Still 0-0. Well, half an hour on the clock. It's not been the most exciting game, but we have got a chance here on the left as Gunau puts a cross in. Gonzalo's up. And Mehmet Gunau has got an assist. We mentioned he couldn't really tackle or run, but the one thing he is decent at in that left-back role is crossing the ball. And he proved so again there. Big ball to the back post. Gonzalo, when he's been fit, has been a superstar. And he's put us 1-0 up, which again, more money into the club. Another 500 grand for each group stage win. And pushes us towards that top 8, which would give us a 2-game break in February. And let us hopefully get the domestic season wrapped up as Gonzalo into the box again. Schmidt's there, as is Suarez. And he volleys it in with aplomb. 10 to the break, 2-0, should be game over. And what started as a pretty slow display is now looking like a relatively comfortable night. We've been here before and got a little bit tight and a little bit nervy. But at this stage, it looks okay. And we're up into 8th as it stands. So if we could win next week as well, could be very special. As Umut's corner, that's a better ball. Lund Jensen's header against the post. We're finally starting to get the reward for our constant set-piece routine work in training. And at half-time, we do lead by 2-0. And in truth, while we've not been great, there's been very little threat on our goal. So let's say, don't let your performance drop. We'll give it another 15 before we look at subs. Well, here we are with 10 gone in the second half. And again, the ball is out with Gunau at left back, who's having an absolute field day because he's not having to defend and he's just whipping crosses in, which is the one thing he can do. May nicks the ball high up the pitch on the other side. Suarez to the edge finds Gonzalo. Already got one as it falls in for Højlund. 3-0. Very, very good. And you know what? I might take Umut off now because he's been struggling with a little bit of a knock. And that can be the one first team change with Romeo coming on. And then maybe in 10 minutes, we can look at bringing on some of the youngsters and integrating them into the team. We did it with Torbed at Willem too. Part of our reputation here. So with 20 to go, I might have a look at that. Not sure how May's got a 6.4 because he virtually set up the last goal. I'm going to have to bring on a senior player for him because Gendry's the only option. What I will do though is take off Schmidt, No, I'm going to go Goodmanson. Let's not get silly. We want to win these Europa League games. Get them wrapped up. Let's prioritise the here and now. In midfield, we can go for one in place of Højlund. It's either Enghart, who's got massive potential, or it is Mads Jakobsen, who's a striker by trade, but he's a very good player. Not really sure which one's better. Probably Jakobsen, in truth. So he'll come on for Højlund, who just gets a break. And then we'll wrap Gonzalo in Cottonwall as well. He'll be replaced by young Kasper Lunds. So we get two of the youngsters on. We're starting to integrate them a bit. And particularly in those wide areas, it's very important. But it shows the lack of young depth we've got a fullback. We're going to need that sign-in. Or maybe a recall Zagaritis, I don't know. As Romeo picks the ball up 30 yards out. Chance to shoot. Good save by the goalkeeper. Great to have Romeo fit again, because he is the one quality player that can come on in that midfield. As Lund is on corner duty. Can he get himself an assist? No, he can't. Goodmanson loses the first one. Romeo's blocked behind again. This is becoming a very good performance. As Lund is on another corner. Get yourself across that front post. That delivery's not as good. It's always the risk of hitting the first man, isn't it? Which is why I don't normally like the near post corners, but they've worked better today. As Suarez gets away down that side. Back to Gunau, and now Romeo. Jakobsen, the youngster. Oh, that was almost special. No, Backcliff just tried to curl it into the corner. And it clipped the crossbar and came back out. It stays 3-0 in what has been a dominant display. And if we can win that last game now, we will be in the top 8. It's lovely to have that in our hands as Romeo looks to improve the goal difference. Gunau's hit the post. Oh, he's nearly got a goal as well. For all of my talk about no left back, maybe the director of football knows something I don't, because Gunau has been sensational. Honestly, an assist already. He's put in some wonderful crosses. And he should well have scored too, as Lund gets another corner in. That's into the front post. Better delivery. We don't quite win it. It's cleared downfield. It's comfortable. And to be honest, Grasshoppers have offered very little. We've found that with teams away from home all year. It's a comfortable win for Copenhagen. And now we move on to the final game. But before we get there next Thursday, will there be some transfer news? We'll see you there if there is. Well, we're back 2 days before our second Europa League game, having drawn in a friendly against a lower league side, having gained Fernandes, who is an okay young left back, but not going to set the world alight. But we've also now got an offer for Lewis. Now, this makes me laugh because it says, we've made an offer for 20-year-old Arsenal player Nick Lewis, has a bright future and could provide cover for Gendry in the right wing-back role. Why not sign someone who can play on the left? Now, I'm going to stick my neck on the line here. This is a good signing. This is not the player I was expecting. He's not the right back that he's signing him to be. He's a good backup holding midfielder, and he's a pretty decent centre-half as well. That's a better signing than it looked on paper. From League One, where he's playing regularly, we've got a backup holding midfielder. I'm happy with that. A few offers coming in for young players on loan, but nothing of note. Lewis would be a good signing for a couple of $100,000. I could still do with a senior left back because, as the squad planner says, there's not a lot there. 1.5 star. Gunau's out of contract in June, and the assistant says he's not good enough for a new one. But if he's not good enough to get a new deal, how is he good enough to start in the team? Answer that one for me. Well, fitness test time, as the director of football has made a second bid for Lewis after the first one was rejected. And I'm hoping, with Tiumchu making it, that we should be able to put out the exact same 11 as we did last week. We've got a change from what played in the friendly in midweek. Red Star not having a good year in the Europa League, so let's hope we can get the job done. Back in a minute to run through the team. Well, Jimmy Jensen is injured, so one change on the bench, and he is replaced by Corey Fernandes, the new young left back. The 11 is exactly the same note as Red Star. No manager, but 10 subs today. Let's see how we go. They have had a poor year, so maybe they've sacked him. As we go through to the first half against Red Star and hope that we can win. If we do, we should be in the top 8. It would only be if we lost on goal difference now. Because you can see Everton picking up points, teams that are getting goals. We need to be able to outscore them. And with 15 gone here, we've offered nothing so far. Despite the improved fitness from last week, I'm going to encourage the boys, see if we get something out of them. But not looking good at the moment. Well, we've been left with no choice as we've got a free kick. First highlight after over half an hour. Suarez brings it down and fires in a wonderful goal. That's what we needed. A bit of magic to liven this game up. You can see we've now picked up an injury to the only position we desperately didn't want one. Ganawa's got a knock. He will be replaced by Corey Fernandez, who will be making his debut far more quickly than he anticipated. I swear if we don't get one on deadline day, I'm going to be furious. If we have a look at this, though, it is a wonderful goal from Suarez, and it puts us 1-0 up. Despite a terrible display, we found a way onto the score sheet, and at the moment, back up into the top 8. There's a throw on the right-hand side for our visitors, who, to be fair, have given us a game so far. Was that offside against Stojanovic? Doesn't look like it's given. Milik puts a shot just wide. It has not been a good performance from us. Didn't play any of these guys in the friendly at the weekend, so no excuses physically. In terms of our performance, we look a mile off it. Azumut nicks the ball back here in the holding role. Can we get forward and get a second? Suarez finds Højlund. The game's opening up. Gonzalo's got space to run into. Schmidt's in the middle if he can find the cross, but he goes alone. Does eventually get it in. It beats Schmidt, but it does not beat Suarez. He is at the back post to tap in. A lovely flowing counter-attack from left to right and back across the box. Only had 3 shots the whole game, but at half-time we've scored 2 of them. And in a very poor performance, we lead 2-0. I'm not complaining. Tell the lads to keep proving a point. Suarez, we can say we're pleased with you. Hopefully in the second half we can start well. We can get a 3rd or 4th in a game like this where the team's for the taking. We can then go fully for the youngsters off the bench. As Schmidt goes to Højlund and Gonzalo. Now Schmidt again. Wide to the right-hand side. Joe May's on the overlap, but they don't use him. Eventually, it does go out to him, though. He looks for Højlund on the run. 2 in the middle. Schmidt's there to poke in. 3-0. It should be game over. Flag stays down, but VAR are checking. I think this will be fine. Højlund is the one who's been checked. And the goal is awarded. 3-0 to Copenhagen. Well, we give it a couple more minutes. Just search for that 4th goal. If we get it now, we'll make the subs immediately. If not, we'll give it 5 because you can see they're trying to get on the front foot. But this is a game that I'd love to get 3 or 4 youngsters on at once. Fernandez technically is one, despite now being our strongest left back who's fit. And we are forcing them back with every pass. Eventually, it's all the way to the goalkeeper. And Red Star starting again. Into midfield it goes. Zivkovic with space to carry it forward. The long ball over the top is pretty poor, but Joe May just doesn't react. He's dawdling. And the cross comes into the back post. They've got a chance. Yeah, Van Doof does really well. Again, not sure where the key highlight is there, but, you know, I'm not going to keep going on about it. As Doof goes big down the left, Schmidt wins the header for Suarez. This is a chance to catch them out. They'd committed a few forward there. Højlund finds Schmidt. The runner off him in the right is Gonzalo, but he doesn't get there. But Suarez gets to the rebound. They'll check for offside. It hit the post and came back out. Where was he when the shot was taken? He was onside. It's 4-0. The goal's awarded. And now I think we can do those subs. We have got 4 youngsters at the bottom there. And then we've got Winther on the bench, but he's played loads this season, so I'm not as worried about him. I would say, though, on that front, that someone like Enghart has played a lot of football this year. He's made, 11 appearances already. We are going to go, though, Kasper Lund for Gonzalo. We're going to go Enghart on for Højlund. So Yumchu definitely gets a rest. He's going to be replaced by Markusson with Gallego going holding midfield. And then the final one, it's whether I bring on Mads Jakobsen, the 17-year-old, or do I go for Winther? Got to go Jakobsen, haven't we? We're going to take off Kevin Bruno. You can have a little rest as well. Which way round are you two better? Doesn't matter. We'll do it like that. 25 to go. We're 4-0 up. And there's 4 young youth players on the pitch. Exactly what we wanted for our academy. Well, I've got to be honest. The game has completely petered out since the subs. But we dropped to 8th place. Stay in that top 8. We missed the round of 32. We do the job. We get 4 youth academy players on. We've still got no senior left back. Let's see how bad that injury is to Ganal. And then get ahead to deadline day, where surely we've got to see some action. There's your confirmation of the table. We are through and miss out on the next round, which is lovely. It's straight through to the 16s. Ganal will be back for the next fixture. But we have no senior left back. We've made it very clear in the squad planner. Now, are we going to get something on deadline day? I'm hoping for a busy one. It might make it a long episode. It'll certainly be worth it if we get some good additions. Back in a moment for any news from the final day of the window. It's transfer deadline day in January in Denmark. We've done all we can. We've highlighted in media questions that we want a left back. We've been linked with John Hervenhoff, who of course I managed in the original head coach save. And we've been linked with losing Nicholas Schmidt. But interestingly, there's no link with a left back, which I find hilarious. And no suggestion on the ins we're going to get one. genuinely blowing my mind at the minute. I mean, how can you not see it in a squad planner? How can you not see it? We're going to take part. We're going to see what the day brings. But I might end this very unhappy and signalling what might be the end of the head coach as a concept, the end of a director of football challenge, because this game on 2 occasions this year has proved that it probably can't cope with it anymore. Movement and offers with 6 hours to go. First things first, we do have at least a senior sign in this window. He's gone into the youth team, but Nick Lewis is a player that I quite like the look of. I'm going to put him in a senior squad. We'll get him on a language course. He is a holding midfielder at 20 years of age who can also play centre half. Good personality, good attributes defensively. Offers next to nothing going forward, but I don't need that. Happy with him. Now, this offer for Hughes, please be a senior player and please be a left back. That's all I'm asking for. My fingers are crossed. Everything else is crossed. Please don't let me down. Oh my God, it's a centre midfielder for the future. It's a centre midfielder who's not even as good as the 4 or 5 youth centre midfielders that we've got coming through the academy. Louis Hughes, I mean, he's okay, but what are you doing? Prioritise, Peter. Prioritise. 6 hours remaining, still no sign of a left back, and still no sign of an offer for a player that he deems a senior level one. Very, very concerning again. Well, Louis Hughes has joined the club, a decent footballer with 5 hours remaining. Not sure it's worth £1 million of our budget, but to give you a little bit of perspective, even after those 2 deals, 15 million a transfer budget, plenty of wage budget still. Why have you not made an offer? Go out and get me a left back. There are 4 messages and I'm already annoyed because I can see, I was about to say, is this a senior left back? But I've just seen the top message says Copenhagen 2's offer, which suggests he's going to be another youth man. He is. He's also another player who can play centre midfield and right back. He's probably worse than the other 2. I'm not a happy man. I think you can probably tell, but I'm not a happy man at the moment. 20 grand, it's no loss to us, but seriously, why are you not prioritising a senior left back? I cannot work it out. I'm about to lose my marbles. It is another young centre midfielder. Capiello has joined, by the way. Dion Cobb from Brighton. They're getting worse every time. Each one's getting worse and worse. And no senior additions. I just can't work it out. We're yet to see a permanent signing. I know. We're trying to. I keep telling every hint in the media, but it's not happening. I just cannot believe it. This has become a pattern at 2 clubs now. We've not seen it ever before that there aren't even an attempt at signings in positions we need. We've seen it not happen before at various clubs across various FMs. But to have a senior squad that looks like that and to not have an offer or even an attempt at a signing is something that we've seen at far too many clubs this year. Something is not quite right. And with an hour to go, it's going to remain that way with 2 youth players carrying a torch at left back for the season. It's a good job we got a 10-point lead in a title race. Well, Cobb has joined as well. The window has since shut and nothing has happened at senior level. No senior additions, though we've promoted Lewis and Fernandez to B2. But I'm really, really unhappy at that. We've lost our only senior left back and not replaced him. And we are left with, it's the same situation as Bayern. I'm not going to keep going on about it. I think we've seen that the head coach can't carry on next year. Any sort of director of football challenge can't happen without intervention because it's becoming silly. For elite clubs, we had it with Bayern Munich, we've had it here. To leave yourself without senior players in positions, to not even try and sign one, is something that just wouldn't happen. And that is becoming a big frustration. Let's park that to the side for now, though, and have a look at the schedule because we need to get through to the end of the season. And we have got some big games on the horizon. We're going to come back around the Europa last 16 time. I think we're going to aim for one of the round of 16 legs and Nordirland away, which is one of the toughest league games on paper. If we're already pretty much there in the league, if we don't drop off at all, I think we'll just do both legs of the 16 and miss out the Nordirland game altogether. Might be the way to do it. We'll then probably do both legs of what looks an easier semi-final on paper and focus on the non-league fixtures. Now that job is almost done. I know it means we miss out on the Viborg reunion again, but I've got to show you the biggest games at this point, and Europe is definitely where that's coming. If you're looking forward to it and you did enjoy this one, brilliant results on the pitch and a continued frustration off it, and please do put a thumbs up on the video. If you're one of those who usually does a director of football challenge too, let me know in the comments. Have you had it worse this year? Have you found it more frustrating? Have you had clubs where you've had this situation arise? Because for me, for it to happen at multiple clubs in 1 year, something that's never ever happened before, to not even try and sign. I'm not worried about not having a senior left back. It can go wrong with transfers. To not even try and sign one is becoming a big issue for me. Let me know if you've had the same, and if you want to stay up to date and find out if it affects the rest of our season, and subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back tomorrow with Southend United before this returns in 2 days' time. But for now, you can find all the key links in the eye above. Football podcast, we've got our predictions for all of the EFL leagues and the National League starting on Wednesday. And the Twitch channel back on Thursday with loads of live streams in August. So come and check out both of those if you haven't before. But for now, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here as always. I'll see you here again in a couple of days' time as European football returns in the last 16.